Why are you messing with the fantasy? We know about the reality. Don't ruin the fantasy, okay?
This one's from Gizmodo.com, and it's labeled. There's a little tiny 3 letters at the top, and it says WTF, because it's really a WTF. And you could take that any way you like. This is a family show, so put a freak at the end.
We've had a couple of those this episode so far.
Yeah. It's, Air Force pilots have antifreeze in their blood, and the Air Force doesn't know why. Now it's time to be scared. The Air Force recently noticed that some of the F-22 Raptor fighter pilots were acting erratically. Specifically, they were acting drunk. But sozzled, they weren't. Instead, it's been revealed that antifreeze, oil fumes, and propane invade their blood. What? It's amazing. Now I'm reading it the way it says.
Yeah, I know. It's just weird hearing you do that out of nowhere. Go ahead.
Mm-hmm. It's amazing. Some of the pilots forget simple things like how to operate the radio because of all the toxins that contaminated their body. Obviously concerned, the Air Force promptly launched a 3-month investigation and this week revealed their reports, which are inconclusive. They still don't know a damn thing about how it happened. All they know, the pilots in 6 of 7 F-22 bases suffered hypoxia-like symptoms, oxygen deprivation, a former F-22 pilot said. There is a lot of nasty stuff getting pumped into the pilots' bloodstreams through what they're breathing from the OBOGS, onboard oxygen generation system. That's fact. How bad it is, what type it is, exactly how much how long, all these things have not been answered. This confusing saga adds to a list of F-22 troubles. Hopefully, they figure it out soon, because the Air Force fleet of F-22 fighter jets have been grounded since May 3rd. And again, I'm going to go, what?
So, wait, okay. So how is this stuff getting into their bloodstream then? It's being pumped in through the oxygen, or you said you think it's just floating around the cabin? What's your theory on it? If
it's floating around the cabin, if it's particulate mass floating around in the cabin, and they're moving at hyperspeed for all intents and purposes, they're traveling Mach 1, Mach 2, Mach 3, and doing, they're pulling some serious G's. There is absolutely nothing preventing this from going through the membrane of skin and getting directly into the bloodstream. And by doing so, they're displacing blood platelets, the oxygen that's already in there. That would be hypoxia to me. The general definition of hypoxia is oxygen deprivation, which it states in the article. And if they are moving at that rate of speed and it is forcing its way through the membrane into the bloodstream directly, then it is displacing the oxygen that's in the bloodstream, and it'll cause drunk behavior, or what is perceived as drunk behavior.
That's scary because they can't operate the radio, but they still have to operate these $22 million planes armed with bombs.
I got a plane with bombs on it. I'm gonna crash.
I need to land.
That's it. I mean, really?
No.
This boom.
Hello, tower. What's your sign? I'm a feces. I mean, it's not funny at all, but it kind of is.
No, it is. It's laughable because millions of dollars and time is being spent, and they still have and
the whole fleet's grounded right now.
Yeah, the whole fleet, and they don't know what's going on. These are top scientists.
I also find it kind of crazy that they're actually admitting to there being a problem right now, and they don't know why. I mean, the government never says, no, we have a problem, we don't know why.
But they've been doing a lot of that lately. The last show we did, we had an article about that whole Jesus bombs, loves nuke thing, and it was coming right from government sites saying it.
That's true. Okay, how come this doesn't happen to commercial pilots? Is because they're not flying at the same speeds and the same G-forces and so forth?
Realize that when you're a commercial pilot, you aren't flying anywhere near as fast as this. You're not going to be using the same kind of breathing apparatus because your cabin is already pressurized. Mm-hmm. You're none of the factors that would go into, I mean, other than maybe the vomit comet that they use for 0 Gs, are anybody in a commercial plane-like scenario going to be doing any of these maneuvers at all? Not even close.
All right, now we're going to move on to radiation-proof underwear for mobile phone users. And again, this comes from odditycentral.com, which is quickly becoming one of my favorite sites. They have just the right mix of weird, cool, scientific, what have you. Safety Shorts is a line of radiation-proof underwear developed by a team of young Australian students, ages 18 to 23, that's supposed to protect people from infertility and other medical problems caused by radiation from mobile phones and laptops. Carry your phone in your pants pocket a lot? Then you're already at risk, at least according to a series of tests that have proven cell phone radiation can be harmful. Luckily, a pair of safety shorts is all you need to be safe from serious, irreversible health issues like infertility and impotence. The material used to make these special garments contains silver thread, which deflects 99% of the radiation emitted by mobile phones and laptops. Rico Koglek, one of the students involved in the project, says he came up with the idea one day in class when they were talking about radiation and its harmful effects. He started thinking about ways which we could protect ourselves and came up with these radiation-proof shorts. He and 4 of his pals spent a year working on safety shorts, and even though they were disappointed a similar fabric had already been implemented in Germany, no one had used it to make boxers. Now the young investors stand to make a fortune off safety shorts, as it will surely appeal to people their own age who spend a lot of time with laptops and almost always have a cell phone in their pocket. Safety Shorts is already on sale in Austria for $42 a pair.
Ugh.
$42 a pair to keep your junk from getting nuked.
See, I don't...
Silver lined. They've got silver in the fabric of the shorts. You would think, I don't know, is silver really that good of a deflector for radiation?
Silver is the best conductor.
Yeah.
Hands down. It's the best. It's even better than gold. That's
what I'm thinking. It seems to me that you would actually, in turn, frying your jewels than you would be protecting them.
Think about that little disc that comes with your pizza when you put it in the microwave.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. How would you go about testing a product like this too? You know, I mean,
throw the shorts in the microwave with a hot dog in them, see what happens.
Yeah, what are you going to do? Here, put this cell phone in your pocket, wear it for a little while, now try to go get somebody pregnant. You know, how do you actually go about testing something?
I don't know. A vial with live sperm.
I mean, I guess I could see applications for the porn industry, but oh God,
silver bottom.
More on sperm tonight, huh?
Mm-hmm.
It's like I said, we're like the 2 old guys that are in the Muppets that sit up in the balcony. You know, that's us, the 2 old guys in the Muppets.
I'm all about it.
Hi there, folks. I'm Pastor Recoil, and I'm here to share with you a message about bacon. Because I like bacon. And do you know who else likes bacon? Seder over at the-bunker.net. So if you like bacon too, check out Transmissions from the Bunker at the-bunker.net.
This one is from msnbc.msn.com, and this one goes out to our boy Miles. I'm sick and tired of these MFing snakes in my MFing pants. It's Arizona man accused of stuffing snakes in pants. It says, Phoenix, police say an Arizona man stole several baby albino boa constrictors at a pet store by stuffing them in his pants pocket. Eric Fiegel was arrested Tuesday after police reviewed surveillance footage from Predators Reptile Center in Mesa. They say a July 30th video shows the 22-year-old man entering the store, removing several snakes from their cage and placing them in his pants before exiting the store without paying. Police say Fiegel then traveled to another pet store and allegedly traded several of the snakes for $175 in a large reptile tank. The Arizona Republic says a witness obtained a license plate number which police used to locate Fiegel. He was later identified by witnesses from a police lineup. It was unclear Wednesday whether Fiegel has a lawyer.
All right, now we're going to move over to the UK for the telegraph.co.uk. And this is electrician inflated by pressurized air, which shot up his bottom in a bizarre factory accident. I'm beginning to see a theme here tonight of some kind or another. An electrician nearly died in a horrific and bizarre work accident when he inflated by pressurized air line which went up his bottom. Dad of one, Gareth Durant, 26, was wiring a caravan at the factory where he worked when a large pipe carrying compressed air at around 300 pounds per square inch shot up his back passage. He was rushed to the hospital where scans revealed a 6-inch tear in his bowel and severe damage to his intestines. He then faced hours of emergency surgery to save his life while his wife, Sarah, 25, waited anxiously with their toddler son, Daniel. The op repaired the tear and also involved performing a ileostomy, leaving him with a stoma bag to collect bodily waste, which is basically a colostomy bag. And the inflation meant that some of his clothes no longer fitted him. He was unable to eat properly and was vomiting food and now suffers agonizing stomach pains and cramps as well as depression, anxiety, and panic attacks. He has also not been able to work since they're causing huge financial strain on his young family. Wife Sarah, who is currently 8 months pregnant, can not only work part-time because she has to look after her husband and 3-year-old son. Gareth, pursuing a civil claim against the employer in court, will decide whether they were responsible during the 2-day hearing starting on Thursday. If they are found liable, he will be able to claim compensation. Gareth told how he was working at Wilburley Holiday Homes in Hull, East Yorks. I can't believe I made it through that sentence without stumbling, which makes static caravans, which the incident occurred. He was aware of the airline, one of the many which hung from the ceiling and are used by power tools in the production line of the factory, was being used behind him and got on with work until suddenly he felt an explosion of air for a few brief agonizing seconds. He said, I was reaching to finish the wiring on the caravan at the factory. I knew there was an air hose being used close behind me, but I just carried on with the job as normal. The next thing I knew, I felt this strong air being blown up my legs from behind, and then something went up my rectum through the shorts I was wearing. To which I will say, rectum damn near killed him. I felt like...
Oh, man.
Even after reading it again, I still can't make it through without laughing. I felt like I had been blown up. Well, duh. It was the biggest shock of my life. There was air fizzling around the inside my back passage and stomach. It was so weird. At that time, I didn't feel much pain, but the doctors later explained that it was adrenaline at the moment. Then it kicked in, and I just can't put into words how painful it was. I lay down, they rang for an ambulance, and I was taken to the hospital. Gareth was fully conscious during the unimaginable ordeal on July 13th last year. The next day, he had an emergency surgery and spent a week in the hospital before being allowed home. I got constant agonizing pain that was unimaginably bad. I have medication for it, but it still causes me great pain. And this is one of the things that I found funny. I want people to be aware of the risks. I don't want this to happen to anybody else. It's changed my life totally. I used to be so active and healthy and enjoyed playing rugby. But for the last year, I've been stuck at home, and it's frustrating. These pipes carry 3,000 pounds of compressed air per square inch and are not to be messed with, but there is no training into the potential dangers of them. This happens this happens all the time. Like, people always go to work and get air hose shoved up their butts and blown up like Macy's Day blimps flying down the street. Can you imagine?
Oh my God!
I mean, this would be like eating White Castles times 10 the amount of gas that this guy's constantly. He probably just sat there and farted for like an hour and a half straight, screaming. I mean, I feel sorry for the guy. It's definitely not a cool thing. I definitely would not somebody shoving an air hose up my butt and blowing up my intestines. But,
Oh, my God.
It goes on to say that he had another operation to reverse the ileostomy, and he's now off of the colostomy bag. And it's saying that he's put on a lot of weight. And what else here? It goes on to talk about him going back to work at the factory, and he couldn't do it. He got too close to the factory, and he started having
panic
attacks.
Wow. Oh. Okay, this is from Crazy News. It's called "Living in a Butthole." A British couple decided to...
I gotta turn my microphone down. Just go ahead and read the piece.
A British couple decided to abandon their home because of the embarrassing name of the street they lived on, Butthole Road. After living there for slightly over a year, the Allott family sold their $250,000 bungalow in Conisbrough, fed up with the never-ending jokes at their expense. I like a laugh, but it was beyond a joke, Allott told the Sun newspaper. Taxis and pizza delivery men refused to respond to their calls, thinking their orders was just a prank. The Allotts grew tired of teenagers posing with their pants down to moon their friends' cameras next to the street sign.
So let me get this right. Their last name was Allott?
Yep. Yep, a lot. Butthole Road. They pulled down their knickers and took pictures.
You know what? In retrospect, it probably wasn't a good idea because now what I was going to segue into just isn't going to work. And that was going to be that I was on Paratopia last night.
Doesn't that kind of fit, though?
I guess it would. But yeah, I was on. I can't even go forward with the segue to the story, and I'm going to leave this into the show. I'm not even going to edit this out.
Good. Moving forward in reverse.
Anyhow, I was on Paratopia last night, and Jeff and Jer interviewed me for about 2 hours, and it was pretty cool. It was like, God, I cannot get off a lot of butthole. But
oh no!
But
you just said it.
Yeah, I know I did.
Cannot get off a
lot of butthole. Yeah. You know what? We're just going to leave that right in here. I might trim it up a little bit. I might trim up the butthole, but I'm going to leave it in.
Trim the butthole.
So anyhow,
oh my God.
Let's just say I was on Paratopia.net last night, and when the show goes live, I'll throw a show link up for everybody to listen to.
They want me on there next. That's going to be a train wreck.
They are going to have you on there next. Well, not next, but I'm sure they. Well, maybe next. I don't know, but I'm sure they are going to get you on there because they're great. You know, we've talked to Jeff and Jer before, so they were cool.
Guys.
It was pretty weird being under somebody else's microscope. And last time I said that, you said, "Are you married?"
Yeah, you're married, dude. You can't.
But well, I didn't tell any real new story. Everybody who listens to the show already knows about the stories that I've told before, so I didn't say anything new. But basically, they just asked me to retell the stories that I told on here, but they actually had me elaborate a little bit more on them, and they questioned me a little bit more on them. And they were, well, how do you feel about this? What do you think about that? How do you think paranormal affects your life? And that was basically what it was. And I'll be darned if those guys, man, they somehow they managed to pull information out of me,
Ugh.
So, but anyways,
hey, hold on. I got one more story I want to read.
Okay.
You ready? I'm blindsiding you on this one.
Oh, great.
This is again from Crazy News. It's called Indian Man Gets High on Lizards.
Oh my gosh.
A man in northern India has told reporters that he eats lizards for the ultimate high. Gerardi Lal, nice name, searches the remote corners of his house for them every day. The 50-year-old rickshaw puller from the Punjab city of Amritsar claims to be on a constant high. A drug addict since the age of 14, he says he took to eating lizards when opium and hashish failed to give him the kick he needed.
Oh my God.
Mr. Lal told Asian News International, I tried all possible drugs, but nothing sedated me. Oh, no, it says satiated. I said sedated. Then I tried different types of snakes. However, I found only the neck and tail portions were worth eating. But I started yawning with that. That made me switch to lizards.
How do you look at something and say, wow, a lizard, I want to get high, I'm going to eat that? Well, you know what? It's Asian.
Well, yeah, but it's probably the same cats that looked at an oyster shell and cracked it up and said, that snot looks delicious. I'm going to eat it.
Hey, everybody. My name is TJ, and I host the 13 Skulls podcast. If you've ever had an unexplainable experience, then you know it's hard to understand. Visit www.the13skulls.com. and come with me on a journey to a world that lies just beyond our comprehension. The world of the paranormal.
Young backwards
All right, we're going to do one more weird for the lulz oriented story for anybody who's still listening to the show at this point. Sorry, folks, we couldn't help it. We just found so much stuff. UK girl has tongue lengthened to speak better Korean. UK native Rhiannon Brooksbank has been hooked on Korean culture for some time, but hit a major snag while trying to learn the language. Despite her best efforts, she was unable to pronounce the Korean L sound correctly. After much frustration, the root of her problem was finally traced to a surprising location, her own tongue. It seems that the flap of skin that connected Brookbank's tongue to her mouth, called the lingual frenulum, was thicker than average. This meant that her tongue was functionally shorter, which didn't affect her English at all, but severely hampered her Korean. With her parents' permission, she underwent a 15-minute frenectomy, which removed some of the tissue that was holding her back. With her tongue now 1 centimeter longer, she's having no trouble with the language and can now speak with a native accent, considering that she's so nuts about Korea that she attends a Korean church and hopes to one day work in the country. This is good news. So she basically didn't. You were saying she didn't have her tongue. She didn't have her tongue lengthened. She just had the piece underneath it cut to be able to stick. They do have a picture of her on this website, and I'll put a link up, of course. And when you look at the picture, that little piece on the bottom of her tongue really is right up to the edge of her tongue. So I'm surprised she was actually even able to speak English with as bad as it looks.
Well, it's not that bad. All it does is keep you from like rolling your R's and pronouncing certain things.
I see.
And you can't give anybody a raspberry.
Had to make a joke somewhere in there. All right, so you've got something serious for us to get us back on track again, which is what?
I do. It's from endoftheamericandream.com. It's part human, part animal hybrid monsters are being created by scientists all over the planet. Crazed scientists all over the globe are playing God with the very building blocks of life. Today, thanks to extraordinary advances in the field of genetic modification, scientists are now able to do things that were once unthinkable. Part human, part animal hybrid monsters are being created by scientists all over the planet and is perfectly legal. Scientists justify mixing the DNA of animals and humans by claiming that it will help cure diseases and feed the world. But the reality is that all this genetic modification is a tremendous threat to the human race. It is only a matter of time before humans start allowing themselves to be genetically modified in order to fight illness or to enhance their abilities. The temptation to insert the genes of an animal or plant into people in order to create super soldiers or a superior race will certainly prove to be much more tempting. Unless something is done to hold it all of this back, it seems almost certain that genetic hell will be unleashed on the human race. Once genetically modified humans start breeding with normal humans, there will be no putting the genie back into the bottle. Eventually, we could get into the point where there are very few 100% humans left. Most Americans have heard about genetic modification, but most of them don't know the whole lot about it. Today, the vast majority of the corn and the vast majority of soy that you eat has been genetically modified. In fact, there are thousands upon thousands of food products on store shelves today that contain genetically modified material. But modifying plants is one thing. What is even more frightening is when scientists use genetic modifications to mix humans with animals. Recently, a Daily Mail article discussed a new report in the UK that noted that over 150 animal-human hybrid embryos have been created in British labs. And the following is a brief excerpt from that article. Scientists created more than 150 human-animal hybrid embryos in British laboratories. The hybrids have been produced secretively over the past 3 years by researchers looking into possible cures for a wide range of diseases. The revelation comes just a day after a committee of scientists warned of a nightmare Planet of the Apes scenario in which work on human-animal creations goes too far. So who is going to tell scientists what they're doing when they've gone too far? Most countries around the globe allow scientists to do pretty much whatever they want when it comes to genetic modification. The mixing of human and animals is even going on inside the United States. The following is an article posted on MSNBC a few years ago entitled "Scientists Create Animals That Are Part Human." On a farm about 6 miles outside the gambling town, Jason Chamberlain looks over a flock of about 50 smelly sheep, many of them possessing partial human livers, hearts, brains, and other organs. What do you think most Americans would say if you told them the creatures that are part human, part sheep are being grown inside the United States? Do you think that they would believe you? Well, it turns out that our scientists are creating all kinds of monsters that are part human. Just check out the same MSNBC article said is currently going on. In the past 2 years, scientists have created pigs with human blood, fused rabbit eggs with human DNA, and injected human stem cells to make paralyzed mice walk. So shouldn't we be getting upset about all of this? Of course we should be. But the mainstream media barely mentions the bizarre human-animal hybrids that are being created all over the country, and so most Americans don't even realize that it is happening. There's a lot of other such sick stuff going on out there as well. Did you know that many areas it is perfectly legal to create human clones for scientific research purposes? It's true. Now, after I get done reading this, you got to give me a second, okay?
Okay.
For example, LiveNews.com recently reported that in the state of Minnesota, it is now perfectly legal to use taxpayer dollars to create clone human embryos. Scientists claim that it is perfectly acceptable because they only allow the clones to live for a few days. Are you disturbed yet? If not, you should be. There's some really twisted stuff going on in the scientific community. Scientists are now coming up with very unique ways to expand food supply. In fact, many of us may be eating human gelatin. Ooh. According to any article in Science Daily, scientists are excited about the potential of putting human-derived gelatin into marshmallows, candy, and other desserts. Scientists are reporting development of a new approach for producing large quantities of human-derived gelatin that could become a substitute for some of the 300,000 tons of animal-based gelatin produced annually for gelatin-type desserts, marshmallows, candies, and innumerable other products. Does that just sound yummy? So exactly how would the human gelatin be made? The following is how the same Science Daily described the process. To get around these difficulties, the scientists developed and demonstrate a method when human gelatin genes are inserted into strains of yeast, which can produce gelatin with controlled features. Yuck. Pretty soon we'll be able to be eating Soylent Green. Look, if you don't know much about genetic modification, you really need to educate yourself because it is one of the greatest threats our planet is facing today. Now, I'm going to stop reading right there, because this is making my brain hurt. This guy whoever wrote this is evidently a person who completely hates science and is out of their nut. I mean, I'm sorry to say that. You know me. A lot of the stuff that they're basing this information on is completely flawed. Completely flawed. There aren't animals running around with human livers in them and human brains. It's not happening. This dude is crazy. There's some genetic modification that's going on.
Yeah, I've heard of stuff going on like that.
Yeah.
I think wasn't there a cow that was made to produce human milk, I believe it was?
In China, it's human-like milk, yeah.
Yeah, I know that things like that have happened.
There are pigs that do have some human DNA in them so that the compatibility
for heart valve transplants and things like that. Yeah.
This guy makes it sound like that we're going to be walking around monkey men and cheetah people, and this guy's nuts.
It'd be pretty cool to have a kangaroo sack in the front,
I'm all about it. If I could put a better place to put my handgun or my iPod, I'm all about it.
Yeah, it'd be nice to have a place to put my wallet or something. I'm kidding. I don't want a kangaroo sack. I wouldn't mind a tail, though. A prehensile tail would be pretty sweet.
Yeah, it would. I'm just looking to opposable thumbs. My family hasn't had them in years.
Oh, my God. Yeah, I've heard of a lot of things, and I've read of a lot of things like that happening. I don't doubt that things like that could be happening somewhere in third world countries for the development of possible drugs and things like that. But I don't know. I don't know if I can't see people walking. I can't see sheep walking around with human brains in them and things like that.
It doesn't.
I don't even know if genetically that's possible because you're talking about completely different genomes.
Yeah.
I suppose it could be altered and done that way. This goes back to what we were talking about earlier with the baby mammoth. The baby mammoth found being combined with elephant DNA. And even then they have to use a certain kind of DNA to do it.
Mm-hmm. You can put small chains of a genome into an egg, but there are so many hurdles that have to be overcome so that the normal function doesn't see it as a blastocyst where it wants to kill it.
Yeah.
So much has to be turned down and off. Doing it to plants is relatively simple compared to doing it to humans or any other animal. If that was the case, don't you think there'd be thylacines running around everywhere right now? Some dude would go, dude, I can make a thylacine. Let's have at it. Yeah. This guy's nuts.
Yeah. Yeah. Welcome to the crazy world of science at times.
Oh my God. I don't understand what people are so afraid of. I really don't. I mean, I can understand in plant life, okay, you get a certain strain of corn, you make it's genetically modified, along comes a virus, knocks that out. Now, if we only have that particular breed of corn growing, then yeah, it's a problem because everything else has been bastardized. But that's why there's seed banks.
Well, that's also what they have the situation with Monsanto, where Monsanto says, okay, here's our corn. You have to use this corn in the field, but you can only use this form of pesticide with the corn. The two are made to work with one another. Right. Then the corn in turn what happens is that fertilizes corn a field over or 2 fields over. Then what happens is you have Monsanto's genes in the corns a couple of fields over, and you have a situation where Monsanto comes along and says, hey, we own the patent on this gene. Our gene is in your corn. That's now in your cornfield. You have to pay us money because you're growing our genetically modified corn into your corn because it crossbred with corn a couple fields over.
Right.
And it gets to be a really screwy situation where if you try to spray the pesticides on the corn that you didn't buy from Monsanto, now because their genes are in your corn, you can only use that particular pesticide on your cornfield. And Monsanto is saying, hey, where's our money? You're growing our corn without our permission and you're not paying us anything.
Right.
So you have strange situations that happen like that. That's kind of one of the reasons why I wanted to cover this story, because there are 2 sides to every story. And that's reflected here. So
ugh. It just makes me so sick.
Yeah,
it angers me. It just angers me.
Welcome to the wonderful world of science at times.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, you'll get somebody that writes flawed information like this, and people look at it like it's doctrine, and they run with it.
Well, there is some truth to what he's saying, though. This stuff could.
There is some, yeah, there is some, but to the extent that they're talking about, no.
No, yeah, you're right.
There is. I mean, you know what? I've said it before. I'll eat anything. So, I mean, great. If they end up with, a pig that's got human, whatever, I'll eat it. Put barbecue sauce on it, whatever.
Sweet.
That's what I'm saying.
Man, weird topics. Weird.
Oh, yeah.
Weird. This episode is a For the Lulz episode.
Pretty much.
But I want to take a minute. Number one, as we're recording the show, it popped up that it's TJ from the 13 Skulls' birthday. Happy birthday, TJ.
Happy birthday, Tej.
But I'm going to talk a little bit about the whole interview process. We've had questions about interviews. We've seen stuff with the downloads pertaining to interviews. We're fine. We really didn't set out to be a purely interview show, but I've noticed in the downloads that when we do interviews, the download rating goes up, and it's like that consistently across the board. If you people like us doing interviews, that's cool, because obviously we're doing something right. And if you enjoy hearing the interviews, we like doing the interviews as long as we're putting out fresh, new information out there. We've had some people talk about how when we have people on the show that they tend to just talk about their books and stuff. There's a reason for that. When these people come on the show and they do interviews, they're not charging us to do them. And a lot of times when they're on here, it's because they're on here trying to talk about their book or whatever they've got coming out. That's how they make their living. And I'm fine with that. We tell people before they come on, hey, come on and promote your book, do what you're doing, promote what you got to promote, talk about whatever you're doing. And we're cool with that. And then we try to get that out of the way. Or if what they're talking about has relevance to what we're looking into, sure, go ahead and promote your book, because they're being cool and they're coming on the show. So don't be too surprised when you hear that kind of stuff. That's just the way it is. When they want to come on the show, that's what they want to push.
That's it.
We've really been trying to make an effort to get more scientifically oriented and off paranormal topics, not necessarily uncool topics, but trying to get stuff away from the paranormal. We've been running into some problems with that because we'll try to get people on the show that are more science oriented or along those fields. And I'll say, yeah, this is what we talk about on the show. We talk about this and that. And sometimes we'll talk about ghosts. Sometimes we'll talk about UFOs. And then we hear crickets on the line. And people they tend not to want to call us back. I think they're afraid because of the topics we deal with. They don't want to be smeared by it. And you were saying that was because a lot of them are getting they're getting peer reviewed. That what you said?
Yeah, they have peer review, and you don't want to screw that up.
Yeah, I guess they're afraid to come on the show because they might be viewed as weird by going on a show that talks about UFOs and ghosts and things like that.
Well, it brings their credibility into question.
Yeah, exactly. So we can deal with that. We do have some really cool interviews coming along the way. Like I said, we don't mind doing interviews as long as they don't affect what we're ultimately trying to do here. When me and Lobo interview somebody, we might talk to, we're not going to talk to people that have already been on every other paranormal show unless we can come at them from a different angle and try to get information out of them that they haven't talked about on other shows. It won't be that unusual maybe to have somebody on here that's involved with UFOs, but not necessarily talk entirely about UFOs. Talk about other aspects and other things. So we're cool with that as long as you guys are cool with that, which I think everybody is.
I hope so. I mean, they haven't really stated that they're not. So,
having said that, we've got a large amount of interviews. Within the last couple of weeks, we've had some interviews fall through. We've had some interviews get rescheduled, and we've got some really cool interviews that are on the way. Having learned my lesson from the whole John Tini thing, I don't quite want to say what they are yet. And another thing is I don't want to become an entirely interview-centered show, but we've got some really cool people that are on the horizon, definite confirmations from people. So we're going to see what's going to happen. Did you have anything you wanted to say?
Yeah, something foolish. You remember last episode, or actually, well, it would have been last episode, because last episode was the 911 calls and stuff.
Yeah.
But we spoke about a guy in Ohio that was a bunny man.
Oh, yeah.
You remember that?
Yeah.
Well, right here in Connecticut, we have a bunny man, and his name is Ed.
Oh, no.
Ed Hayes, one of our listeners. There's a picture on Facebook of him dressed up as a bunny man. He was at the funeral, the memorial service, and he goes, "Hey, remember that picture of the bunny?" So I'm like, "Oh my God, we have our own bunny man."
Does he walk around in a bunny suit, patronizing people in the park?
Yeah, you know what his next response was?
Does he wear a tutu?
Exactly. He goes, "I don't own a tutu."
Oh my Lord. Yeah, that's a cool guy. He sent us a few emails, you know.
Sure.
So yeah, that's pretty funny. That's actually really, really funny. I wanted to send a shout out to Manuel over at UFO Clearinghouse. Is that his website? Yeah, Scorp.
UFO Clearinghouse.
He contributes a lot of stuff to the Facebook page, and he's got a really solid site. You need to go over to the site. What's the website's address, Lobo?
UFOclearinghouse.com.
Yeah, he's just got tons and tons of information on there on UFOs.
Dude, he just dropped stuff in our page like while we were recording this.
Seconds ago. And the guy is just relentless source of information for UFO sightings. He could start his own MUFON with the amount of information he has on that page for UFO sightings. It's absolutely incredible.
Yeah, dude, totally. Gracias, mijo.
Great guy, too. Absolutely great guy. But I think that's it. Next week, we're going to be talking to... Very seldom, I'm going to say this too, we've never really wanted to have ghost investigators or ghost hunters on the show. And I'm friends with a lot of ghost hunting groups in Michigan. I don't have anything against ghost hunting groups or anything like that. Like I'll give a shout out to the Michigan and Paranormal Investigative Team. They're a bunch of cool guys. I talk to them on Facebook. You know, it's not that we have a problem with ghost hunting organizations. The problem is that you can only hear, yes, we've got EVPs. Yes, we got this, we got that. Pretty much all ghost hunting investigation shows are the same thing, and we're not really going to gain a whole lot of new knowledge and stuff from them. So we haven't really concentrated on having them on the show or anything like that. I do have a guy coming on next week who I've met through Facebook, and he runs Ireland's premier ghost hunting. I almost said ghost busting. Ghost hunting.
All right, Egon.
Ghost hunting investigation unit. He's really cool. The reason we're going to have him coming on the show, and he runs ECPI. And the reason we're going to have him on the show is primarily to talk about the difference between paranormal over in Ireland and over in that side of the country in Europe versus paranormal and ghost hunting over here in the United States. These guys are cool. They go in, it's not unusual for these guys to go into castles, really old castles every week, and do ghost hunting inside of castles. They're real up on technology. They're really cool, grounded people. They've got some really neat information. And I talked to the guy already, and I found what he had to say really fascinating, really interesting, informative, because it's not being brought from, they've got a much richer history, and things are accepted differently than they are over here. Like over in the States, you have a house that's a couple of 100 years old. Over there, you have things that are much, much, much older over there. I think these guys just recently did an investigation inside of a Viking cemetery. So we're going to have him on next week, and that's going to be in the next episode. We have that to look forward to. But I think that's it. You got anything else?
That's it, brother. I want to thank everybody for their outpouring, though.
Yeah, same with me. Same with the stuff I've been going through.
Yeah.
You know what? We got cool fans.
Yeah, we do.
We
dude.
really
We're the
do.
Best fans.
We can put a show like we put out tonight of us being total clowns, and everybody's going to find entertaining, and they're going to come back.
That's right.
So, again, I got to thank Jeff and Jer over at Paratopia.net for having me on the show tonight. It was different to be interviewed by somebody else and to let my feelings fly. I'm not used to doing that. So, again, thanks, and I'll post that episode up in the Facebook page when it actually gets posted onto their show.
Right. Really quick.
Yeah.
Go to iTunes. Give us a feedback.
Yes, thank you for the feedback we've gotten.
Go to projectarchivist.com and go to our Gmail account. Send us some emails. Call us on our line. The number is
734-681-0459. I think we should start calling people up ourselves and leaving voicemails. I think we should start calling people. We could call Callie up over at ADHD. Hello, Callie. This is your podcast. Would it hurt to call every once in a while?
This is your mother. Why don't you call me? This is your mother.
We haven't heard from you in quite some time. Could you call and leave a message? We just want to know how you're doing.
Us?
Yeah. Call Judy up. Call her. We start calling all the fans up. Call Jackie up.
Dude, how much of a lark would that be?
God, these guys from Project Archivist, they just keep calling and leaving messages on our answering machine.
They called and scared my children.
Anyways.
All right, brother.
Well, this is Rojan. Peace out from the D.
This is Lobo, Two Better Connecticut.
And I guess that's it. Peace, folks.
Peace. least.
Send me the bull semen. Go right ahead.
That's just messed up. You mean here, right now?
What, bull semen right now?
Right now?
No, are you sending me the bull semen?
Yes, I just. Oh my god. Yeah, it's in a little.
I don't want to keep asking for bull semen, but.
Don't you though?
Carry your phone in your pants. Carry your. Head hurt.
Oh man. I have female organs. Help!
This show is awful. Terrible. Disgusting.
See you next week.
Of course.